Picture this, you're on a merry-go-round that's spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour. Now imagine it just stops. You'd be flung into next week. Well, that's exactly what would happen if our planet suddenly slammed on the brakes. In the first few seconds, you'd have catastrophic winds scouring the surface and unbelievable tsunamis erasing coastlines. But believe it or not, that's just the opening act. What comes after is a new, bizarre world that you wouldn't even recognize. The second Earth stops spinning, the law of inertia becomes public enemy number one. See, right now, you and everything around you are cruising along with the Earth's rotation. At the equator, that's a breezy 1,000 miles per hour, or about 1,600 kilometers per hour. So if the planet suddenly stops, everything not bolted down to bedrock keeps going. We're talking about the atmosphere, the oceans, people, buildings, trees, even the topsoil. Anything and everything would be violently ripped from the ground and flung eastward, creating a global storm of projectiles. Buildings would be torn from their foundations and tumble into dust. The air itself would become a supersonic wind, generating shockwaves that would flatten anything left standing, and a sound so loud it would be beyond comprehension. It would basically turn the surface of the planet into a blender on a cosmic scale. Nothing on the surface could survive this. And that's just on land. The oceans, which cover over 70% of our planet, would also keep right on moving. This would trigger tsunamis on a scale that's hard to even wrap your head around. We're not talking about waves measured in feet. These would be colossal walls of water, potentially reaching kilometers in height, surging inland at hundreds of miles per hour. Entire continents would be washed over, not just the coasts. Cities like London, Tokyo, and New York would be gone in a flash. Only the highest mountain ranges, like the Himalayas, might be tall enough to poke through the surface of these globe-spanning floods. At the same time, the sudden stop would put insane stress on Earth's tectonic plates, causing them to buckle and fracture. This would set off earthquakes of unimaginable magnitude across the entire planet all at once. Volcanoes everywhere would erupt in a fiery, synchronized protest, choking the already chaotic atmosphere with ash and dust. The sky would go dark. We've just walked through the first few hours of a planet that has stopped spinning, and the devastation is already absolute. What happens next, though, is where things get really weird. If you're fascinated by the mind-bending forces that shape our universe, consider subscribing because you won't want to miss what's coming. After the first wave of chaos, the planet would settle into a new, terrifying normal. Earth isn't a perfect ball. Our rotation causes it to bulge out at the equator. That centrifugal force is actually what holds a lot of our ocean water in the middle of the planet. Take away the spin, and that force is gone. Gravity would take over completely, pulling the planet into a more perfect sphere. All that water that was piled up at the equator would have nowhere to go but toward the poles. Over weeks and months, the oceans would slowly drain away from the planet's midsection, forming two massive polar oceans. This would create a completely new geography. A single, gigantic supercontinent would appear, wrapped around the Earth's equator like a giant belt. The land that once held the Amazon rainforest and Indonesia would become a vast desert at the center of this new world. Meanwhile, places like northern Canada and Siberia would be at the bottom of a brand new sea. The world map as we know it would be gone, replaced by one giant landmass and two enormous oceans. Maybe the most profound change would be the end of our day and night cycle. Without rotation, one day on Earth would now last an entire year. For 6 months straight, half the planet would be locked facing the sun, while the other half would be plunged into a 6-month-long night. The effect on the climate would be insane. On the sunny side, the constant, brutal solar radiation would make temperatures soar. The ground would bake into a scorched, lifeless desert hotter than anything we've ever seen. On the dark side, it's the exact opposite. With no sunlight for 6 months, temperatures would plummet to unimaginable lows, creating a frozen wasteland. Parts of the atmosphere might even freeze and fall as a bizarre kind of nitrogen snow. Between these two extremes of fire and ice, there would be a thin, twilight zone, a narrow strip of land where the sun is always on the horizon. This would be the only place where temperatures might be survivable. But it would be a world of constant howling winds, as superheated air from the day side rushes toward the freezing cold of the night side. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, an invisible threat would arrive to finish the job. Earth's rotation is what powers its geodynamo. The spinning liquid iron in our planet's outer core is what generates our magnetic field. an invisible shield protecting us from deadly solar wind and cosmic radiation. If the Earth stops spinning, that dynamo sputters and dies. Our magnetic shield collapses. Without that protection, the sun's radiation would pummel the surface. For any survivors huddled in that twilight zone, it would be a death sentence. Over time, the solar wind would start stripping our atmosphere away, just like it did to Mars billions of years ago. The air we breathe would slowly be blasted into space, leaving Earth a barren, irradiated rock. So what if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning? The beginning would be a storm of pure violence, wiping civilization off the map. But what would follow is a slower, stranger kind of end. A world of fire and ice with a brand new geography left completely defenseless against the harshness of space. This scenario is pretty much impossible, but it's a powerful reminder of the delicate dance of forces that makes our planet livable. That simple, quiet rotation we take for granted is a pillar of life itself. It shapes our days, our oceans, our weather, and our very existence. It shows just how fragile our little spot in the universe really is, spinning in a perfect balance that allows us to call this planet home. What do you think would be the hardest part of this new world to survive? Let us know in the comments, and for more cosmic what-ifs, don't forget to like and subscribe.